started us.
I hope not.
You're live, Jill.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this ordinary meeting of the Planning and Transportation Advisory Group. This meeting has been temporarily replaced by an advisory group and will be conducted in accordance with the Town Council's agreed remote meetings protocol. This meeting is being streamed live and is available to view on our website. I will now ask the Assistant Town Clerk to carry out a roll call of all councillors who are members of this committee and ask you to confirm that you are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Starting with Councillor Buckland. I think he may be having difficulties joining, Chair, so we'll postpone that for a moment.
Indeed.
Councillor Long.
Yes, indeed, present.
Councillor Tandy.
Present.
Councillor Tilbrook.
Present.
Councillor Turner.
Present.
And Councillor Woodman.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Just waiting to go live. Thank you. Moving on to item 2, mobile phones. Members are reminded to switch their mobile devices to silent for the duration of the meeting. Item 3 is apologies. I'll ask the Assistant Town Clerk to read the names of those who've sent their apologies.
Thank you, Chair. There are none.
Thank you. Item 4, declarations of interest. The standing declarations are noted. Members and officers are reminded to make any other declarations if they become apparent at the appropriate time during the meeting. Can I just ask members, are there any further declarations? Councillor Tandy's first.
Thank you, Chair. I just need to declare a personal interest in one of the applications on the supplementary list, which is LU 33921, which relates to Southdown Nurseries. The applicant is an acquaintance, a relative of an acquaintance.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Tilbrook.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I declare personal interest in agenda item 8 as a member of Arran District Council's Planning Committee, and I confirm that when considering formal planning applications for Littlehampton, I shall do so without predetermination, taking into account the papers that will be before me at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for those declarations. Moving on to item 5, minutes. Minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of October 2021 have been circulated and can be found on pages 4 to 8. Can I ask if everyone is happy that they be approved?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Arrangements will be made for these to be formally signed when circumstances allow, and this will be recorded in the minutes. Moving on to item 6, Chair's report and urgent items. I'll ask the Assistant Town Clerk to advise if there are any urgent items.
Thank you, Chair. There are none.
Thank you very much. I have no items to add, so I will move us on to the next item. Item 7, public forum. In accordance with the remote meetings protocol, which has been introduced by the Town Council, any members of the public wishing to address the Council or any of its committees during remote meetings should have emailed their submission to us one clear day before the meeting. Assistant Town Clerk, do we have any?
There are none, Chair.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 8, planning and other Arran District Council matters. Item 8.1, planning applications on lists 41, 42, 43 and 44. I'll hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk and ask her to take us through the plan lists. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Members, if you turn to page 9 on your agenda, we'll start at the top of the list there. Hopefully we'll be able to display the planning applications, but if you don't need to see them, it would be helpful to know. And I'll start off with the first one on the list there, which is reference LU 30521 PL, and that's at Amstel Court reference flat 17. And the application there is to replace the windows with a double glazed UPVC windows. This application is in a conservation area. There aren't any comments on the portal except the conservation area panel members, and if you've had a chance to have a look, they do propose an objection to the planning application on the basis that they'd like to see it more appropriately designed and using wood as opposed to UPVC. Hand it over to the committee chair for comment.
Thank you. Just waiting to go live here. Thank you for that. Will just make one slight declaration, if only because I used to live in this block of flats, so I know what they're talking about in terms of the different types of windows. But Councillor Turner wishes to speak.
I'm inclined to follow the objection and agree with the objection that we really need to put a stop to using UPVC and getting them to use appropriate materials when they're replacing these windows. So I would go with the objection that's already listed.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. I have to be honest and say, looking at one of the photographs that was included in the documentation, because there are different styles now of window frame and the windows themselves being installed, the originals were wooden framed sash windows, but now there seems to be a move towards, as Councillor Turner said, UPVC, but windows that are top hung. And so the impression that's beginning to give is slightly untidy. It's not uniform anymore in the way that it was. I don't know if anybody else has got any comments to make. I can't see any coming through. But if we have an objection being put forward, Assistant Town Clerk sending me a message.
Okay, Chair, I think Councillor Buckland is having difficulty joining us.
Oh, thank you very much. Councillor Woodman, you had a comment to make?
Yes, the photographs that were in the... Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
The photographs that were in the application, I thought the building looked quite good, but that's the existing windows, I assume. I don't know, it wasn't clear. And it wasn't clear whether that was a projection of what it's going to be or what it is now. I think UPVC windows can still be made to look like the old sash windows, can't they?
As I understand it, yes, I believe they can and operate in the same way.
Yeah.
It's just that they seem to be getting a mix of the original wooden frame sash windows and newer UPVC ones, which are hung from the top. So the style of opening is different, was my understanding. But sorry, I cut across you. I do apologise.
No problem.
OK, any other comments? Because if not, we're a bit split on this one. Andrea Turner is proposing to object and support the comments that came in from the Conservation Area Advisory Panel. Councillor Woodman, were you happy to accept the application? Oh, no, I've got another comment coming through. Councillor Tandy?
Just to try and help the deadlock, Chair.
Okay.
My view is that we've always, as a council, taken quite a line that we would like, certainly in conservation areas like this, for UPVC to be avoided. So on that basis, and given that is part of the local plan, I would be inclined to support Councillor Turner's proposal.
Thank you very much. In that case, we are looking more towards supporting the objection from the advisory panel. If I propose that, can I just have a quick indication of the support?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Happy to support.
Agreed.
In that case, the objection is supported, and that will be recorded. Thank you. And pass back to ADC.
Thank you, Chair. The next application on members' list is reference LU 29021, and that's at Metcraft Limited in Harwood Road. And this is where they're proposing to add to the existing industrial units there and replace what's there with something that is larger than is there at present. Again, there's no comments on the portal, so I'll hand it over to members, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments that anybody wishes to make? Councillor Tandy?
Thank you, Chair. I will kick off with this one with, well, I would personally propose that we support this, given that it's part of our neighbourhood plan. I believe that places like Harwood Road should be supported. From looking at it, this looks to be an example of an existing business that wants to expand, and I would think it would be rather foolish for us to do anything than other than say good luck and support the application.
Lovely, thank you. Can I see any more coming through? I don't think. Oh, sorry, Councillor Woodman.
Yes, looking at this one, the Environment Agency supported what they said anyway, so I don't see any reason to object.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Councillor Turner?
I would second Councillor Tandy's proposal. That we approve it. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Sounds like we're supporting the proposal. As you say, the Environment Agency, the Economic Development Department, flood risk assessment, no objections from anybody. And yes, it's always good to support a company that wants to expand. So no objection. Everybody happy?
Sorry, Chair. The proposal was to support the planning application.
Sorry. To support. Can I just have a quick indication that we support this?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Lovely. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chair. The next application on members' list is reference LU 32521, and this is at 75 Colebrook Road and is a 2-storey rear extension to an existing property. Hand it over to the committee for comments, Chair.
Lovely. Thank you. I see we've had a message that Councillor Buckland will be unable to join us, so we'll need to note him as an apology.
Thank you.
Any comments on this application? Anybody? Can't see anything. Oh, Councillor Woodman, I think, is asking to say something. Councillor Woodman.
Yes, sorry, I didn't know if you read my mind there because I hadn't even written Q. That was good.
I can.
I wondered if there'd been any comments from the neighbours, because this is looking at this plan and looking at it on Google Maps. It's very close together, and then they're going to be putting a double-storey extension on the back. I just wondered if there'd been any things from the neighbours.
If I may, Chair, members will be able to see from the screen that there are no comments there. The basic application is as presented without any comments from the neighbours.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, and from Councillor Woodman as well. I can't see any other comments coming through. I must admit, when I looked at the documentation, I did wonder what sort of impact this might have to the neighbours to the west, to the left-hand side. So are we suggesting that it's an overdevelopment and that we would object on that basis? Does anybody want to propose that? Councillor Turner wants to make a comment.
Well, I found this one very confusing and I really couldn't understand it particularly well. Councillor Tandy's usually the one that's very good on overdevelopment and can pick out those. If it's felt that it's overdevelopment, I would agree with that. I was surprised not to see anything from neighbours. And perhaps if we put it as overdevelopment, then it delays it and gives an opportunity for us to look at it in greater detail and for neighbours to perhaps comment. But perhaps Councillor Tandy has some comments.
Councillor Tilbrook, sorry. Oh gosh, I'm combining your two names. I do apologise.
No worries, you're not the first. I just one thing I want to say is I'm not sure if we want to presuppose it. Do we know maybe the neighbours are happy with it? I don't know. Maybe they've just not seen the consultation, but it might be they've just not had anything to say because they're fine with it. So I don't think we should necessarily presuppose that they would be opposed, but it might still be overdevelopment anyway. But I don't think we should assume on their behalf.
That's a fair comment to make, I think. So so we have no objection. Would committee members support no objection?
I would support that, Chair.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you very much. So no objection.
Thank you, Chair, that's noted. The next one on the list, and I'll take, there's two items on your list for Wick Parade, Chair, both at the same premises. So that's LU 27721 and LU 27821, and they are for the retention, and they're putting in a brand new teller machine there, and also the associated illuminated signage. If members are happy to take those two applications together, I'll hand it over to the committee chair.
Thank you for that. My understanding from the documentation is that this is actually completed.
I haven't been up there lately, so I can't comment.
No, just, I mean, on the planning application, I thought it said that it had been done, and with all due respect, the photographs certainly indicate that it's done. See?
Yeah.
Thank you for the photos. Oh, my one comment I can go live. My one comment was really nothing to do with the application. I was actually quite happy with, well, the two applications. My only concern was that there's you got the car park, and then there's pavement, and then there's the ATM. I just wondered whether the applicant had thought about putting some bollards in, just in case anybody decided to tear across in a car, across the car park and into that window. I know there's lots of security about these things, but it's just a comment. As I say, I have no objection to the work that's been done or the applications. Has anybody else got any comments they wish to make? Councillor Tandy?
Thank you, Chair. You're entirely right. This is retrospective, but I think the context is when the old McCall, I think it was McCall's shop, the corner shop moved out, we lost the cash point. And whilst as a committee I think we did object to the introduction of a chicken shop, they did make this offer and they have done that. And from a perspective as one of the ward councillors for that end of town, it is a huge asset that we have that cash machine. So I have absolutely no objection to the retention of the cash machine. And on the basis that actually the shop is up and running, it does look to be doing quite well. People are using it, and given that it is a neighbourhood centre in the neighbourhood plan, I have no reason to object to this. It's filling it's a shop that's no longer vacant, which is always positive. So I have no objection to either application, Chair.
Thank you for that. Councillor Woodman, do you have comments?
Yeah, I was just going to say no objections to it at all.
Thank you very much. So on that basis, I can't see any other comments coming through. So are we supporting a no objection on this one?
Agreed.
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 Lovely. Thank you all very much. No objection to that.
Thank you, Chair. The next one then on members list is reference LU 33121, and that's at 2 Croft Cottages in Pier Road, and that's to change condition relating to the plans. Hand it over to members for comment, Chair. Excuse me.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any comments? Could I just ask, can you highlight what the differences are?
I couldn't find any differences myself. I think they were just resubmitting the plans so that it was quite clear that condition was being fulfilled.
That's absolutely fine. I couldn't tell any difference between the two either. So any comments from anybody? Or do we have no objection to this?
No objection.
Thank you. Any more support for no objection?
Agreed.
Thank you.
No objection.
Agreed.
Lovely. Thank you all. So no objection.
Thank you, Chair. Next one on members list is LU 31921HH, and this is at 97 White Horses Way, and this is a single-storey side and rear extension, removing a conservatory, basically expanding and redesigning the building there. Hand it over to members for comment, Chair.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any comments they wish to make on this one? I looked at all the documentation, and the extension obviously is going to be integral to the house, with the roof being extended to match the existing. So is that Councillor Woodman have a comment?
Yes, they're on a large plot on the end of the road, and I don't see it's going to impact on anybody else, and no objection.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, or can I propose no objection to this?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, in that case, I think we are no objection. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Next one on members' list is LU 31521 PL, and this is at 12 Cornwall Road, which I'm sure members will recall from the previous time that this application's been before us. What's now proposed is still an HMO, reduced to 7 beds. So previously it's been to us before at 9, 8 and now 7 bedrooms, with a parking of 2 proposed, with cycle spaces, and 7 double bedrooms with en suites and 2 lounges. Hand it over to committee for comments, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone want to open the questions or comments? Councillor Tandy.
I'll start, Chair. However, I will begin with a positive, is that the applicant has at least listened, and the rooms are no longer beneath the space standard, so they now all do meet the standards. So our objection on that grounds can be withdrawn. However, and whilst I appreciate West Sussex County Council have put in their, dare I say, template response, and there is no objection because there's been no collisions, but no one's got any records, so it doesn't matter. But they will be providing cycle storage. I still object on the fact that for any of us who know this area, it is not safe to have any additional parking on the street. In fact, I think they'd struggle to find any additional parking on the street on account it is rammed, especially at school times. And I appreciate we're in a time of like COP26 and cycling, and whilst we all support that, let's be realistic. People are not going to suddenly not drive cars in the next couple of years. So we do need to provide sufficient parking so that it is safe for existing residents and for people who are trying to drop their children off. So whilst I welcome entirely the fact that the applicant has changed the room sizes, so people are getting a decent room size to live in, whether we think it's enough or not, it is legally enough. But I'm afraid, Chair, I would continue to object on parking grounds alone, because the idea that there are going to be 14 people living in this house and 2 parking spaces will be enough is a joke.
Lovely, thank you very much. Councillor Turner.
I echo and wholeheartedly support everything that Councillor Tandy has just said. And we need Councillor Buckland here because he was very much against HMOs. And I mean, it's ludicrous to consider that accommodation for up to 14 people is going 2 parking spaces is adequate, and it's lunacy, absolute lunacy. So I'm very much against this. So I would support everything that Councillor Tandy has just said.
Thank you very much. I mean, I think when I looked, there had been 5 letters of objection, all on the basis of the issues around parking. So I cannot see any more comments coming through, but can we put this in as an objection, really upholding what we said previously, other than the room sizes as outlined by Councillor Tandy?
Yes, I agree.
Agree.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, just a quick note there, parking and safety were the particular issues.
Thank you, Chair. Those are both noted.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So our objection will be noted and sent across.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The next one on members' list is a certificate of lawful development, and that's reference LU 32721 at 20 Coniston Way. And this is where the owners are proposing to put a single-storey rear extension and a loft conversion in the premises to create additional living space for a relative.
Thank you very much. Do members have any comments they wish to make on this one? It looks, quite substantial, but not overbearing to my eye. And I do believe that similar work has been done on other houses in the area. So unless there are any comments from anybody, then we have no objection.
Agreed, Chair, no objection.
Agreed.
Agreed, no objection.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chair. The last one on that list then is reference LU 32821, and again this is an illuminated sign up at Unit 2 Broadpeace, which is the Curry's department store there. Hand over to committee for comment.
No objection.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I've no objection to this.
Also no objection.
Also no objection.
Lovely. I mean, it's a case of them just smartening things up and updating for their new logo. I actually drove past there today and with this in mind thought actually it will look very nice when they've done this. So no objection. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chair. Moving on to the supplementary list number 44. And I'll begin with the first one on that list. Again, these applications are fairly new, so there haven't been any comments as such. The first one is LU 33521HH, and that's at 14 West Head, and that is to put a self-contained annex in the rear of the building following the demolition excuse me, of an existing shed in the back garden there. And again, that's to create additional living accommodation. And over to the committee for comments, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any comments from anybody?
No objections to this one.
Thank you. I must admit, when I looked at all the documentation and so on, my only concern was it's a shame, but it looks so quite a number of existing, probably quite mature shrubs will need to be removed, but that's not really grounds for an objection. So the proposal at the moment is no objection. I have members' comments just quickly.
I agree.
Agreed.
Lovely. So no objection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. The next one on the list is reference LU 33321HH, and this is at 2 Larkspur Close, and this is to create a 2-storey side extension, a single-storey rear extension, converting a garage to habitable use. I'll hand it back to the committee for comments, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments from members? Again, when I was looking at the documentation, they'll lose some space in the garage, but I'm not sure that's too much of a problem. They're just looking to enlarge their bedrooms, particularly, making one an ensuite and having what looks like a very, very nice large lounge area. So, any comments?
No objection.
Thank you.
No objection.
No objection.
Lovely, thank you. So no objection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Next one on the list is reference LU 33421HH, and this is at 3 Maltravers Drive. I must confess I had difficulty seeing the plans. I think there might be a slight problem there, but it's a single-storey extension that's proposed there.
Yes, I must admit, when I looked at or tried to look at the documentation, I could not actually see the plan. So I have assumed, again, I have looked on Google Earth, and I assume that it's an infill between the house and the garage. To sort of,
yeah, it's set back, isn't it? So yeah.
To link that. What do we got? Councillor Woodman?
Yes, without being able to look at any of the plans, I feel that I can't comment.
It's difficult for sure. Councillor Turner?
I'm the same as Councillor Woodman. I feel that if we can't see the plans, then we shouldn't be making a decision about it until we can see some plans.
Oh, OK, thank you for that. Councillor Tandy?
Thank you, Chair. Just to echo, I also couldn't access the plans. On which basis could I propose that once the link is back up and running, we have a look at it and then we delegate authority to you and we send our representations to you to put a response together, because it would seem foolish trying to do it tonight.
Yeah.
I second that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that suggestion. I'd be very happy to take it forward on that basis, as long as the Assistant Town Clerk is happy with that.
Yeah, certainly, Chair. Would delegate authority to the Town Clerk in consultation with yourself and circulate it to members.
Lovely.
And the last one on the list there is reference LU 33921, and again this is another certificate of lawful development request, and this is to build a new detached outbuilding on the site of South Down Nursery and the property at the bungalow on Old Mead Road. This is to create additional residential accommodation. Members might recall this site having been brought forward previously, where there was proposals to create 22 new houses on that site, so it's quite big, and council objected at the time to that particular application, which was subsequently withdrawn. So this proposal is just for that new detached outbuilding. No comments as yet on the portal, Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, I must admit, when I looked and it was described as an outbuilding, but it's actually a 2-bedroom bungalow. But there we are. Any comments from any members? No, can't see anything coming through. Am I right to assume we have no objection to this?
Agreed.
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 Thank you very much. OK. I think that is that all of the.
It is, Chair. Thank you. That's a no objection there, and that's the end of the plan list for this evening.
Thank you very much. So we move on to the next item, which is 8.2, planning application A2621, land west of Brook Lane and south of the A259. I'll hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk and ask her to take us through this item.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. We've been consulted on this application. The outline consent for the development has actually been approved, so this is just a reserved matters application. The development itself was consented on appeal, so it's just the layout and design that this particular application deals with. Previously, the council's concerns related to parking and the treatment of the public right-of-way, which will become a road and footpath. And there's also going to be, hopefully, improvements to the bridge over the railway where it meets the development here. Regarding the right-of-way, there's some ongoing correspondence between the developer and West Sussex County Council regarding how that will operate. And regarding the bridge, which was a concern of this committee as well, there's no design as yet. That again is subject to a separate condition, which it's understood will at some point come forward as a further planning application, but it's not part of this. But we should get notified when that comes in. I don't know if members need to view anything, but happy to take comments, Chair.
Thank you very much. I know when we looked at this previously, I did make a declaration of personal interest, if only because I live the other side, the south side of the railway from this overall development, but no other sort of interest in it. So any comments from anybody? Is that Councillor Turner?
Yes, it is me. I understand that there was an objection by the engineers regarding surface water and whether there was adequate drainage. Bearing in mind the situation we've had currently with effluent being let out into the sea, that this should be something that the council and West Sussex Council should be pushing for, that there is adequate drainage for this site. That would be my object. I would object to it on those grounds.
Thank you for that. Our previous objections were quite lengthy, I seem to remember. I'm just looking very quickly at the comments that we sent in, and there was worry about the adequacy of the parking provision, but if that's been improved, then fair enough. Safety of pedestrians, etc. Access into and from the site with the A259 as it is at the moment. It's a dual carriageway and it's national speed limit, which is 70. Whether they're going to make any difference to that, I don't know. And yes, comments that we made about the footbridge, when that comes through as a separate application, then we can revisit that. So Councillor Turner has suggested an objection, particularly about the surface water and the adequacy of drainage for that. Are there any other comments that members would like to make? Do we feel that our previous objections have been addressed?
It's not clear that the drainage has actually been properly addressed according to the comments that are on the website, Chair.
Thank you. Andrew, sorry, Councillor Turner, you want to come back on that one?
Yeah, I would say that the access onto the 259 at the national speed limit would still be a serious safety issue.
Yeah.
Although an argument will be that Aldi and the BMW garage have an outlet onto the 259. As long as they produce it properly and make it an adequate filter lane, then it may be safe enough. But it could be something that we need them to address before we can actually agree everything. But certainly the adequacy of the drainage is a very, very important issue nowadays.
Yeah, I quite agree on that. Yeah, the need for future proofing in that way is becoming paramount as every day goes past. Do we have sort of a summary that we can put to members?
Well, first of all, based on the comments from the drainage engineers, it doesn't appear that they've been addressed, and in light of recent events, members are still concerned that the drainage provision is adequate at the site. Regarding the access, it's not a specific subject of this particular application, but if members wish to emphasise that, we can add those comments, Chair. Those are the two main things I have at the moment.
Thank you. I would certainly want to see both of those being raised in our response. So that's an objection on the basis of those particular items. Are members happy to support an objection on that basis?
Agreed.
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 Thank you, Chair. That's noted.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, item 9, transportation and other West Sussex County Council matters. Do we have any?
There are none, Chair.
Thank you. So moving on to item 10, which is the master plan North Littlehampton. I'll ask the assistant town clerk to update the group.
Thank you, Chair. At this stage, I think provisionally there's a steering group planned for the 19th of November, but that's still to be confirmed. Otherwise, have nothing else to comment, Chair.
Thank you very much. That's fair comment, I think. We'll just wait for that confirmation to come through about that meeting. Hopefully we'll be able to have some sort of an update for this committee at some point. Moving on to the next item, which is exempt business. It is recommended that the public and accredited representatives of the press be excluded from the meeting under Section 100 of the Local Government Act 1972 due to the confidential nature of the business to be conducted. Can that be seconded and agreed, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you all very much. In that case, I will now bring this part of the meeting to a close at, just check, 7:20. And members, we will now adjourn the meeting for a short period. If you will please leave this call and join the exempt call. Thank you, and thank you to any members of the public who were watching our broadcast. Thank you all.